Goodreau, and I'm here today with the Waking Hour, and we're talking to Lisa Denise Velasquez, and we're going to get into our interview now. So,
Hi.
hi, Lisa Denise. Tell me a little bit about like your background and how you got into yoga. Like, what first drew you to it?
Right. So, well, the first thing that drew me to it is I just wanted a nice yoga body. Like, no spiritual goals in mind, no calming of the senses, no, none of that. I just wanted to be cute. And I had been studying biology in school, and I worked part-time at a health club in Oakland. And there was a woman, her name was Bobby. I'll never forget. She must have been in her mid to late 60s, and she looked like she was 30, and she was just vibrant. She just, she walked into a room and you felt her presence. And I was like, Bobby, what is it, that you do that keeps you so young? She's like, it's the yoga, honey. She's like, come take a class. I was like, okay. So I went, and I definitely, from the moment I took that class, felt something. I wouldn't say that was the moment that, it clicked for me, but I definitely knew that it was something that I was interested in. And after a couple of years, and then I moved to San Francisco. I think I was 20 at the time. I'd moved to San Francisco. I found an instructor at Yoga Tree, Lauren Slater, who was just, it clicked. It was everything that I needed. I needed the kind of the biology background. I wanted to know anatomically what was happening in my body. I wanted this logical, scientific reasons why things were working. That's how my mind worked. And after years of consistent practice, all of the other things that you hear about when you hear about yoga, like the calming of the mind, the calming of the senses, being open, being energy being moved around, you just notice it. Or for me, I noticed it, I felt it, and it was tremendous. And yeah, so since then, I took a teacher training in 2011 was the first one that I took. So I'd already been practicing for a decade, and I wanted to deepen my practice. I wasn't sure if I wanted to teach, but I knew I wanted to know more. And then that's kind of the journey that led me here.
I love that. And I do think that like for me at least, whenever I have to try to teach something, I feel like I learn it in a whole new way. So like I love
Absolutely.
that, like, yeah, you went in with that goal. You already kind of started talking about like some of the benefits that like how yoga has affected like you and your life. Like what would you recommend? Like what do you think that people are looking for and how they get to those goals with yoga? Like I feel like sometimes, nothing's magic, but at the same time, yoga does have a magic to it. But
yeah, I think that everybody has a different goal in mind. They're so varied, like, and it depends on their, I guess, one, familiarity, their desire, and their motivation. So for instance, I just wanted a nice body. Some other people are seeking spiritual awakenings. Some people want to relieve stress. So depending on what they're looking for, I was actually just writing this in a text to somebody, like there's something for everybody. So if you just want a nice body, you can, like, there are yoga poses, yoga moves that will give you great abs and toned arms and amazing legs and great glutes. And if you want a more meditative practice, there are styles and positions that are very calming and relaxing, restorative classes that are very healing. I'm also I'm training for a marathon, and I didn't realize how taxing that was on the body. And I had to switch the rest of my life up. I couldn't practice hard yoga anymore. I had to switch to restorative yoga. So these types of yogas really heal the body and give the body a chance to rest. And then and as I said, there are just so many for prenatal. There's prenatal yoga for women that are pregnant. So poses and styles that are very specific, because there are things that pregnant women should not be doing when they're pregnant, that are contraindicated. So There are styles of yoga that help support not just the mind of the mother, which is helping the baby, the child, but also support the body so they have easier pregnancies. So yeah, there really, really is something for everybody out there in yoga. It's just give it a chance. And the thing is, keep going. It's like anything. Sometimes you go to a class or an instructor, and that's just not the one for you, you know. And it's like dating. You know, maybe you're not going to meet your soulmate on your first go, but I would say keep going and keep going until you find somebody that it clicks with. And you'll know when that happens.
Totally. I was actually really curious, like funny that you mentioned that, because like for me, I know like I'm not like a yogi by any means, but like I enjoy yoga when I do it. But
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a very routine practice. And
Yeah,
when I first tried it, it was like, over a decade ago, and it was like a DVD that someone gave me, and I couldn't really get into it.
yeah,
And then I went to a class, and it was just totally different. And like you said, it
right,
was like that energy and just getting to like see it
yeah,
and feel it and, be involved. But I also feel like for some reason I was really intimidated to go to that
yeah,
class.
yeah.
Like what would you say for people who are interested but like are either intimidated, or they don't know where to go or where to start, or like they
Right,
don't want to be the new one in the room or whatever it
right,
is?
right. So this is extremely common in yoga, across the board. And I think that for most adults, we strive to be the best at what we do. And for a lot of us, we are the best at what we do in our chosen professions, in our lives. And yoga, when you go into a yoga class and you see somebody doing this really complex pose, and you're like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I could just maybe like ask somebody who has this thinking, is to just try to switch their perspective a little bit, is that there's no, this is what you're supposed to be doing in yoga. Yoga is you arrive where you're at that day. Because even for me, there are things one day I can do and another day I cannot, depending on my mental state, my mental focus, and my physical body. Am I tired? Did I injure myself? Am I training for another sport? So wherever you're at that day and that moment, that's where you start from. You take yourself to the edge and you stay there comfortably. So it's about finding that balance between pushing yourself, and I hate even using that term when it refers to yoga, but like going to your limit and finding comfort there. So while there may be tension, there may be stress, it may be challenging and hard, you should be able to sit there in ease and in comfort. And I think that is probably one of the most beneficial things in yoga that you can take away from it, because that translates into life. And if you can physically feel this in your body, feel this state of calm in a hard situation, a physically hard situation, you can take that into challenging situations in the workplace, in your relationships, in your friendships, out in the world when somebody on the street bothers you. So I would say go in with an open mind, try not to compare yourself to the person on the next mat. Nobody wins yoga. You're always going to win yoga if you just show up on the mat and you keep coming back. For some people, it's more comfortable to have a home practice before they go into a yoga studio situation. And there are so many options out there. There are books, there are DVDs, there are YouTube videos, on Instagram, you type yoga in the search and there's short little snippets. And just one final thing on this topic is that I really truly believe doing 5 or 10 minutes of yoga a day, every day, is the benefits you will receive from that are far more vast than if you go to a class, an hour-long class once a week. So if you can cultivate a home practice, just 5 or 10 minutes a day, then you will gain the strength, the flexibility, and the confidence to go into a class and take your practice even further.
I love that. And I love like the life lessons and the way that yoga does tie,
Yeah,
because it is like a holistic practice, and holism you know, we have so many things connected. Like, I feel like there are a lot of layers there of both like science and spirituality of like why
Mm-hmm.
it works. And yeah, I feel like you were talking about like changing from hard yoga to restorative yoga.
Yes.
um I feel like so often when I hear about yoga, it's just like as a whole, and like
Right.
that could mean, yeah, it could mean so many things. Like what is your, like, do you have any preferences or things that like you've experienced that you really enjoyed as far as different kinds of yoga, and like what, or anything you would recommend?
So for me, it really depends on what I need in that moment. When I started out, I started doing Ashtanga yoga, which is a very like fast vinyasa based. It's it's extremely challenging. It's sweaty. It's hard. It's hot, and you feel like you conquer the world when you do it. It's also extremely taxing on the body, so you're really working yourself out, and that's great. But in other times in my life, when say if I'm training for something else that requires more energy from me, then amazing style of yoga. And it sounds like, oh, I'm just laying there. It seems so easy. Generally, you'll do in a restorative class, you'll do 3 poses for 20 minutes each. And you're bolstered, you're propped up, you got like a sandbag on your eyes and like oils on your body, and you're just laying there. And it is extremely calming to the nervous system. It's healing, but it can be very challenging for a lot of people because we're not used to being still. We're not used to just being with ourselves. And I think that now that we're all in quarantine under these stay-at-home orders, we're feeling that. We're used to doing all the time, and we're not used to just being. So um, my my advice, and this is across the board, and I have to tell myself this every day, is to look at why you want to do something. So why do I want to do a restorative class, or why do I want to do a hard class? Is it because that's what I'm used to and that's what feels good? Or is it actually what I need? Is it what's supportive for me right now? And I usually find that what I want and what I need are not always in line. So just really looking at what could be the most supportive thing for you. And it's going to vary from day to day, from week to week, from year to year in your life. And to just ask those questions of yourself. And again, that there are types of yogas that are supportive for wherever you're at.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's funny because my background's in
Mm,
massage therapy, and like I
mm,
feel like some of the things that I've heard you saying about yoga, it just reminds me of similar, and like, you know, the prenatal, and there's just so many
yeah,
different types, but you know, it's depends on
yeah,
what you need, and it also depends on the individuals. And
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
like I love that it's such a unique like solution to so many different like issues. And
Yeah,
I don't know, it just seems like in, like, not an easy way, but like a, like just such a positive like
yeah.
change that's made in like in everybody that I know that does yoga just like loves yoga.
And the thing is that I really love about yoga is that it's accessible for everybody. It doesn't matter your age, your skill level, your health, your socioeconomic background. Anybody can do it anywhere, anytime. You don't need a $300 yoga outfit. You don't need a $200 yoga mat. You can do it on your bare feet, on your kitchen floor, and you can just be with yourself in your t-shirt and your jean or your shorts or sweatpants. So I think that yoga has become very popular in Western culture, and it's become, I mean, it's huge. It's a huge industry. It's a billion dollar industry. So a lot of times we have this idea of this is the persona that I have to, live up to almost, and I have to be, when that's not it. It really is, it's a healing practice. And it can be, as you said earlier, very intimidating to a lot of people. And if anything, I would hope that I could maybe take that away in some small way for anybody, or even just one person, because the benefits are the benefits are incredible. With just like with anything, with consistent practice, even if it's just a small bit every day, you notice things happening, from like lowered blood pressure. It can help with mild depression, increase or help with insomnia, decrease fatigue. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on, but pretty much most ailments that are out there, obviously, like not the big ones, but you know, most day-to-day ailments that we'll deal with, yoga can assist, mainly with stress, which is, we know now, is the cause of so many illnesses, from hypertension to heart attacks. So it's, look at me, here I go on my yoga soapbox. I hate it when I get like this, but it's true.
This is a safe space for that. Yeah. Well, I feel like, I mean, this is great. I feel like it's not necessarily a yoga soapbox, but you're sharing, and I love that you're sharing that passion. I feel like that's a great thing. I feel like there's so many different ideas of what different subjects are, and I feel like yoga's, like you said, like there is kind of a lifestyle sometimes associated with it, but it's also one of those things that attracts so many different people from so many different lifestyles. And like I just feel like not only is it great for like helping as far as like fixing things and solving problems, it's also great at like preventative work and just like preparing yourself. And like you had mentioned before, just, you know, even like the elderly can do it. Like there is no like limit to it.
Yeah. I mean, there, for every yoga pose, there's a modification for pretty much anyone. You know, so to say that I can't do this, that is 100% not true. There's some variation that you can do. And that, I think that is one of the most beautiful things about yoga, is that, again, these lessons translate into our day-to-day lives. You know, that there, even though we may face challenges that may seem insurmountable, like what we have going on in the world right now, it's like, what, like, what is this? How are we going to make it through this? There is a way, you know, even if we can't see it right now, there is a way, there is a possibility. And yoga really teaches you that, to just be in the present moment. I just had the opportunity to teach some high school kids that, you know, they're not in school, they are not in the most ideal living situations. Some didn't even have access to computers or internet until the school district provided it for them. And when a friend approached me to do this, I was absolutely 100%. And I was like, I'd never taught children before. And I was like, well, you know, they're really just young adults. Like, speak to them like adults, but keep it interesting. And what can I give them that will be useful to them? So I taught them balancing poses. And what balancing poses do are they require a tremendous amount of focus. So the moment you start thinking about, you know, something that happened in your past, or having anxiety about something in the future, you will come out of your pose. You'll lose your balance, because in order to be in a balancing pose, you have to be very present. So that helps in life, because we're always getting bombarded by waves of emotion, or, you know, things that are challenging. And by cultivating that sense of presence, it allows us to deal with those challenging situations with grace and with ease. So yeah, in terms of like preventing things, I think that bringing clarity and presence of mind is one of those things that helps us deal with pretty much everything in life. So another one for yoga, another win for yoga.
Yeah, and like you said, like with COVID, there's a lot of different things going on right now, and everyone's adjusting in one way or another. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of, you know, experiencing more free time, or looking for, you know, new things to do that will like help with some of the issues that they're facing right now. And I know like a lot of people are teaching remotely. How, like, have you been teaching remotely, and like, how's that been going?
So I've been doing a couple things. So when this all started, I decided to provide free classes. So I try to do one a day, or not one a day, during the weekdays. So 5 times a week. I'm probably going to go to 4 a week next week, but at least a 1-hour session every day. Because one thing is that a lot of people are financially impacted by this, you know, lost their jobs or uncertain if they're going to keep their jobs. So I wanted to make it accessible to everybody. So at least there's that. So I put that in my live stories. And then I've been doing private sessions on Zoom. I did the larger class for the kids, but that was the only class that I did on Zoom. It's an interesting platform. It's like, I'm very grateful for it because otherwise we wouldn't be able to practice. And it does change the teaching style in a sense that you have to have extremely good verbal communication skills, because you can't go up and put your hands on and adjust somebody like you normally would when you're in person. So it's a different form of communication. It's learning a different set of tools, a different skill set, which is always good. Get your brain thinking differently. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, in the technology and the issues that can come up with that. But again, you know, that's all yoga too. It's like dealing with the difficult and like just writing it out and trying to enjoy the moment still.
I love that. With your Instagram stories, I assume that you said, like, yes. So how could our viewers and our like audience find you for like either joining in on one of your classes or scheduling a private session?
Yeah, so you can find me at Lisa Denise Yoga on Instagram, and I post in the highlight section the schedule for the week. And you can either join the live class when it starts, and then it's available in the stories for 24 hours after the beginning of the class. And if you want to reach me for a private session, you can DM me and I'll get back to you. And I'm offering actually right now a free 1-hour private session to everybody, because again, I just feel in these times, everybody should have this tool. And some people are intimidated even to just try a live class. You know, they want to ask a question, or they feel unsure or unsafe even, which is even scarier. So I want to make this accessible for everybody out there, and for more seasoned yogis too. I mean, if you're a seasoned yogi, you know that private one-on-one instruction is the best way to deepen your practice. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'm able to provide a service to people out there when I think we could all use it. And I've been recording short Instagram TV, so little short videos, like a 5 to 10 minute video doing like a yoga pose every day. So as I was saying, like sometimes doing a whole hour class can be intimidating. And so I thought maybe just the little 10-minute sessions every day, somebody could learn one pose and really dive into it. And if they don't and some people are still working. Some people are like, what's all this like vacation time everybody's talking about? Like, I'm still working and I've got my 2 kids at home, and like, when am I going to do anything? So it's a really good for people who are still working at home too, and maybe just need a little respite from the work and the family. So
That's a great way to give back. Yeah, that's such a wonderful offering. I love it. Had you taught online before any of this happened, or is this like all new?
This is all uncharted water for me. So it's been interesting. Figuring out Zoom was a bit of a challenge. Figuring out Instagram was a bit of a challenge. Like recording a live story and saving it, and you know, but it's interesting because it's a time when everybody is going through the same challenges together. So even though we're all challenged, we can relate to one another, and we can kind of laugh about it and realize that we all have these kind of imperfections. And you know, maybe somebody's on a meeting and their like husband walks by in a bathrobe, or their dog jumps in, or their kids screaming mom, you know. So it's a great time, I think, to understand, because we're also engaged in social media all the time. And I think one of the best quotes I ever heard about social media and how it kind of affects us is that we're constantly comparing our behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. And to kind of get this like raw image of like everybody living their life in a real way is very interesting, and us all going through it together at the same time. So as challenging as these times are, they are very interesting, and I hope to give back and take away, you know, what I can right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's wild, but it's entertaining, and it's a learning process for all of us. Even like I feel like even techie people are struggling, so
Right.
the rest of us are. But that's great. I feel like thank you so much for
Yeah.
answering my questions and walking us through it. I feel like, do you have any last like words of wisdom, any recommendations or inspirations like for our audience today?
Just as I said, please don't feel intimidated. Please, if you do go to a class, try your best not to compare yourself to anybody else. You know, you have no idea of what it took some person to get to that point. And a lot of times they're probably struggling with the same things that you are and thinking that maybe they're not as good as somebody else in the class as well. So you're not alone. And really seek out somebody. Like, I'd love for you to work with me, but if my style isn't what's good for you, I encourage you to keep looking and finding somebody that you resonate with. And again, you don't need the outfit, you don't need the mat. You can do this anytime, anywhere. It's free. You know, there's free stuff out there for you to access. And again, 10 minutes a day is so beneficial. Just give it a shot and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And you won't need me to tell you, you'll understand yourself.
Well, thank you, Lisa Denise. I
Yeah.
think this is perfect. And I will definitely be looking you up at Lisa Denise Yoga
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the interview and the questions and just being able to get a little information out there, and hopefully it benefits some people.
Again, just thank you so much for letting us interview and like giving us your words of wisdom and sharing your time. We really appreciate it. Like, we need you now more than ever.
Well, I am here. Thank you so much, Laura.
No problem. You have a good one.